Hello, everyone. Great to see full house. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you're all getting into the swing of an MMS, having fun in Vegas. Not too much fun, just the right amount of fun. My name is Alec King. I am Director, Product Management at Veeam Software, which means I run the R&D team, development and QA teams that build the System Center integrations. We do the Veeam Management Pack for VMware, being the world-famous one. And we do have a free tool as well, free reporting pack, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today. I have brought with me Oleg. Say hi, Oleg.
Hi.
He's my senior developer. He's pretty much a reporting guru. So this will be a technical session. It's level 300. Oleg has been known to slip into 400 or even 500. So
600. That's 600.
There's really no stopping him once he gets started. So do enjoy. Who are Veeam? Veeam are many things. Veeam have a fantastic backup product, which backs up virtual machines, both Hyper-V and VMware. We have the management pack I already mentioned. We have the free tools, the reporting pack I'm going to talk about today. Probably all I need to say is we are Microsoft Partner of the Year for Systems Management and Virtualization, which are pretty hot topics for this very show. So that's who we are. Please do drop by booth 332. You can't miss it. It's big, it's green, it's right in the middle of the expo floor. Please come visit us to learn more about that stuff. But no sales pitch up here today. It's not what I wanted to do this session. And I spoke persuasively and at length to my manager, to our CEO, to bring a really, truly developer to this session and share with you guys some of the experiences we had when building the management pack, the features we found we needed, and we built this extended reporting library to make possible some of the advanced reporting that we do in the VMware management pack. And it was clear to me when we were building that stuff, extending the Microsoft's own generic capabilities for reporting, that this would be a very useful tool for you guys, for IT pros who are trying to build your own reports, build linked reports, and mine the data warehouse, because everything is in the data warehouse. The issue is just getting it out, presenting it, making it useful. That's why we built the generic report library. It's up there on veeam.com. It's free, it's documented, and you will see it today. And with that, I'll give you to the tender care of Oleg. I'll be back to do a couple of demos, but this is the guy, really. Take it away.
Thank you, Alec.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, it's quite an unusual thing for me to speak to the crowd. What I really prefer is to sit in a quiet corner and just write the code. That is, you ask me why. And the answer is pretty simple. That is how I'm telling stories. That is how I'm telling stories about the data warehouse. And today, I'm going to show you how do we usually do reports for VMware management packs, for EGRL, and actually what it looks like to create a report. And before we start our deep dive into data warehouse internal, let's speak about a simple thing. What is a data warehouse? Well, first of all, it is a database. And the next point is SQL Server database. What else? Finally, it's a big SQL Server database. And what else? And the answer is pretty simple. Nothing. It's just a SQL Server database. It contains a huge amount of data. It contains, by default, 400 days of your data. It contains literally everything you need to make right decisions about your infrastructure. It contains objects, it contains classes that are used to describe those objects, it contains performance data, alerts, events, whatever, literally everything. And in many cases, it is the only source of data you have. So how to get those data? The most common mistakes people usually make when they think about data warehouse is that they don't think about the data itself. They don't think about data warehouse itself, but what they do, they start thinking about the user interface, about reporting, dashboards, something else. But the truth is that reports is just a user interface. They're built by a guy like me, and they're built using requirements provided by a guy like Alec or some product manager, system analyst. And truth is, we didn't know 100% of your specific requirements. What we usually do to you, what we usually use is just most demanded ones. So if you run the report, just think there's Oleg or Alec or someone else who just collected some requirements and built something. Those reports have some logic inside. And let's consider a real-life use case. Just imagine you're a database administrator, a medium-sized environment, and you're managing 500 of SQL Server engines with 5,000 databases. And once upon a time, your boss comes up to you and says, hey, I want to predict the future. Please analyze if all of your databases are able to extend natural data growth for the next, let's say, 3 months. What can you do with the reporting? Well, you can take one of the out-of-box performance reports, do a lot of clicking, put all your data files inside, select all rules, click, 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 run that. But listen, you'll end up with either a messy chart with all those data series and that, or with one chart per data file. But wait, 5,000 databases? At least one data file in each 5,000 data files plus at least one transactional log file in each? 10,000 files, 10,000 charts, one chart per page. This book contains 1,500 pages. So how high will it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7? Will it be that high? How long will it take to analyze that data? Your kids will grow up and will become a grandparent by the time you complete. So the good news here is that there is something between the report and data warehouse. And that's a quite natural things for database guys. As a SQL Server script. And if you'll get one step down to the SQL Server layer, and you're a lucky guy and you have access to the data warehouse and you can write those queries, you'll get actually unlimited power, because what you can do, you can analyze the data in a way you need, you can get the data you want, and you can do literally everything you want. So right now, I'm going to show you my usual data mining session I used to do when this guy comes to me with some new crazy requirements for a new glamour and shining report. So here is a description of our demo case. I have 500 SQL Server instances, 5,000 databases, and I have to predict the future. Here's one special requirement. We are not interested in express additions. We have to filter them out. Well, that's a demo requirement. You may use any special requirement. For example, I don't want to analyze data files that are on my C drive, for example. You may say that, well, I can use a group for that, but you can't use groups for everything. There are requirements that can be fulfilled with groups. So what we'll be doing a hardcore SQL querying session. I'll be writing SQL code right here in a live mode, almost live mode. So what we'll need to know to complete this task is where to get our data. And when it comes down to the data warehouse structure, all you need to know is just less than 3 dozen of views and less than a dozen of SQL statements. That's easy, believe me. If I've managed to learn that, then everyone can do that. So what views do we have? I'll be drawing something here. First of all, we'll need to discover a class that is used to describe database engine and database file, need something that tells us what properties do we have for those classes. For sure, we'll need to relate somehow database file and SQL Server database engine. Well, probably we can use relationship types, but there are many techniques for avoiding that or using that in several different ways. Next, we'll need to get objects themselves. SQL Server, database engines and files. I'll need to get properties for file path and for addition. And probably we'll need relationship to discover the relationship between database file and SQL Server. And finally, when we have discovered our objects, when we know our scope, when I get to getting our performance data that we'll definitely need to predict the future, because it's a good idea to predict the future based on the data we have collected during our day-to-day operations. But eventually, in many cases, in most of the cases, you will not need to query performance views directly. And you will learn why at the very end of the session. So now let's switch to the demo mode. It's number 2. Okay. So here's the plan. We're going to find classes, we're going to find properties, classes again, and properties again, then find relationships, and finally build a final record set. So let's start. Actually, I'm not going to do live coding. I have some snippets. Okay, here's the first query. I'm querying vManaged entity type view, so I'm going to find out what class should I use for SQL Server engine. So we have a lot of classes that contains SQL in their name. So we have a generic class for database engine, and if we scroll down, we have some specific classes. For 2005, I'll scroll down. We have the same for 2008, and for sure we have that for 2012. But what I usually do, I try to find some objects that are defined using the generic class. So let's do that. Where vManaged entity type row ID is equal to 983. This may be different in your environment, actually, but we're just mining. Okay, we have some. We have 2. Great. So let's move to properties. Okay, what I need to do to discover what properties are defined for a class, I have to query vManaged entity type property view. And once again, I'm putting 983 here. Let's run that. Bingo! We have addition property. We'll use it. Let's remember this UID. We'll need them. Okay, let's get down to database files. It'll be a bit tricky. Here's my snippet. I'm doing the same thing. Okay, we have some database files here, generic class, specific class for database file. What? Database log file, and database file again, and a log file again. Well, 6 specific classes and 1 generic one. Okay, let's stick to the same strategy. Let's try to find out if we have something defined using generic class. no luck. Okay, let's try some specific classes. This one, 1009. What? No luck? Well, I really don't have 2005 in my environment, so let's try 2008. Bingo, I have some data files. Okay, the main point here is that we'll need to use managed entity type row ID in our further queries, but I'm really don't like an idea of using 6 different managed entity row IDs. Most probably those specific classes are based on a generic class. So let's check if we can do something with that. Okay, so the base managed entity type ID is 995. What I'm doing here is I'm querying the same view vManaged entity type, but I'm joining it with vManaged entity type management pack version. Pretty long name, but I have to do that because I need an access to the base managed entity type row ID. So not here, here, not here, here. Okay. Bingo. We have all our specific classes just by one query. Okay, what about properties? Let's just do some simple copy-paste here. Okay, what about properties for the specific class? No luck. Okay, let's try generic class. Okay, here it goes. Finally, I have that file path. Let's get it. Now we need to learn what relationships do we have, how we can relate the database file to the database engine. Well, relationship is a kind of object that establishes a link between source and target. So to do so, we have to query vRelationship type view, and to join that to vRelationship type management pack version, another long name. And we have to put our type ID here. No luck. Probably that relationship type is defined for the specific class. Okay, here it goes. Database file, group, host database file. If we'll continue digging that deeper, we'll find out that database file group, host database files, and database host database file group, and so on and so forth. I really don't like that idea. And what I'm going to do now is I'll show you how we can overcome that. So the reason the way to do that is to use path value. So if we'll take a look at our objects, we can notice there is a path value which contains just a name of the server for database engine, but for the database file it contains, let me find that, here it is. For database file, it contains, well, a bit more information. It contains the number of database group the name of the database, the name of a SQL Server engine, the name of the server. Well, we can use a tricky join here. So the path of database file should start from a path plus name of a database engine, and that is possible because the path value is built using hosting relationships. So let's run that. Oops. I should fix this mistake. Here we go. We have database engine, we have database file. Now what we need to do, finally for this demo, I know that it's pretty boring, but that's actually usually what I have to do. We have to add properties here, and then we will be done. So, okay, I have a snippet for that. What I do here, let's take a look at it a bit closer. We have a query vManaged entity to Gaze database engine, join that with vManaged entity for files using our tricky join, and we join that with vManaged entity type managed pack version. So we'll need to provide only the base ID. After that, we join with vManaged entity property to find properties of database engine, and finally, we join with vManaged entity property to find properties of file. So, and I have added some tricky statements to find properties. You can note those grids. Those grids are ones we have noted at the very, very beginning. Here's the one for files. Let's run that. From here to here. Whew. We have database engine. We have database file. We can filter out our Express edition and continue with doing all this stuff. But wait, there's one more thing that we will really need at the next steps when I'll be querying for performance data. That's our managed entity row ID. So we could identify our objects. Here we are. Done. That's it. That's the usual data mining question, data mining session. I understand it may sound very boring and may look very complex, but when you have done that one time, you can do that another time. If you invest some time to learning all that stuff, you'll be able to do that at the middle of the night when your boss calls you, hey, I need that report. No problem. I'll get it in just 15 minutes. Just give me my VPN connection to my data warehouse so I could grab some data and do all the stuff. That is really easy. I used to work as a DBA before I joined Beam. That's where I've learned how to do that. I wasn't born as a database developer, you know.
Yeah, you were.
No, I was not. But frankly speaking, I've always been a SQL guy, so that may be easy to me, and it didn't take much time to learn all that stuff for me. It may take a bit longer for you, but that is really not a rocket science. So right now, we're going to continue with easy stuff, mastering. You're welcome, Alec.
Oh, I get to do the easy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, as usual.
I get you. So as I mentioned at the start, when we were building the new reports for our product, the VMware Management Pack, we wanted to have drill down and linked reports, enable all that kind of functionality, and there's Microsoft's generic report library. You may be familiar with that, and you can leverage that to build your own reports, or just use it straight as it is. But we found some, shall we say, opportunities, some features and functionality that was missing for kind of the stuff we needed to do. Different scopes to like run alert reports, for example, scoped at either the rules, the monitors that you're after, or the objects where the alerts were generated. You need those 2 points of view, really, depending on what you're trying to do, to be able to filter the output by the management packs that you're interested in. If you're trying to run a report on the alerts from the SQL MP, then you don't want to see the alerts for everything that's happening on a SQL server. And containment, one of the things that the Microsoft generic library doesn't do very well is understand containment relationships. It does a lot of averaging of objects that are contained within other objects, aggregation. And I'll give you a quick look at one of the reasons we had to implement a better way of using containment in the reports, reporting on objects contained within other objects, those relationships. This is our VMware MP. And I just wanted to show you this one thing, the topology view, the view that we build automatically of a VMware environment. And as you can see, there's a virtual center. It contains data center or data centers. It contains clusters, which contain resource pools, virtual applications, and hosts, which contain their own objects, like hardware sensors, also in a container, HBAs, and of course, virtual machines. And we do build a relationship. If there's an Ops Manager agent inside the virtual machine, we hook that on as well, so you can drill right down in our topology into the applications. And you can probably see from that that we really needed reporting methods that could let us use containment, report on the virtual machines, the top VMs that are contained, literally with a containment relationship in the MP. The top VMs contained within the cluster, the top hosts within the cluster, the top VMs running on this data store. We have a storage topology as well. So that's one of the reasons why we had to extend the capabilities that come out of box with Microsoft Ads. That is the version 6 management pack, yes, and I will be demoing that in a session tomorrow. I have it on the final slide here. There's a session tomorrow on managing VMware in System Center with VMM Orchestrator, and I'll be co-presenting. So you can see the new version of the MP tomorrow. And drop by our booth anytime. So this is our extended generic report library, also known as EGRL, because that was a bit of a mouthful. So the EGRL does ship with all the other reports of our another 3 report packs in our management pack. And the EGRL is leveraged by all those other report packs for drill down and so on, for linked reports. But the EGRL is, like I said before, and I'll say it again, it's free. Just go to veeam.com, register, you can download this reporting library. There's no dependencies for that reporting library on our actual shipping MP. It's an enhancement to System Center's native reporting capabilities. And it will run on whatever data you have in your warehouse. Here, for example, is the alert statistics report. So, as mentioned, what if you're, for example, you want to see the impact of some tuning that you've done in your environment? I'm setting the first interval minus 30 days to minus 15 days. Now, say 2 weeks ago you had a whole tuning exercise on some noisy MP or MPs in your environment, or you had some infrastructure change as well, deployed some update, something like that. You might well want to see what kind of alerts happened before the change and after the change. And this is why we've implemented 2 intervals. you can report across 2 intervals. Should you choose, you have the yes or no option as well. So I'm going to go from minus 30 to minus 15, and I'm going to go from minus 15 to today. Add a group. And Windows computers. So I'm hoping you can all see at the back, actually. So 2 reporting intervals. We have those 2 different modes. Alert statistics will give you the alert-centric view. Troublemakers is the objects, scoped by the objects that generate the alerts. And I'll leave all management packs selected, and we're running against all Windows computers. Bam. And there you have the count of alerts, the count of total as a percentage, and the first interval and the second interval, and a little graphic to show you whether it's gone up or gone down compared with the first and second interval. So you can see the alerts that are being generated, and like I say, what difference has been made over whenever you did your tuning exercise, whenever you deployed some new MP maybe, whenever you deployed a new application, build a new server, build a new cluster, whatever. And of course, this you can use when you're building your own reports. You can use this to drill down from your own reports, build your own linked reports from it. I switch to troublemakers and run it again. And now it's scoped by just 2 servers in this group. You can expand 1 server, and now that data is filtered by the 1 server. I mean, you can definitely see actually that I got 259 alerts, 0 in my first interval and 259 in the second interval, so something definitely going on there. And the report itself, as you can see, has its own drill down as well. You can drill down from that report into the detailed alert history, and you can see the whole sequence of the alerts as they happened, with a chart on how many per day by priority and by severity. So that is alerting. Actually, one of my favorites is state summary as well. And again, there is a state report in Microsoft generic library. It only does availability. It only does 1 interval. It's basically, we needed more flexibility than that. So that's why we built this report. So let's previous month, first day, previous month, last day, and then this month, first day. And it's worth pointing out, I am choosing yesterday, and that's because we're using daily aggregation. So if I try to include the state data for today, it's not been aggregated yet. So that would make the report inaccurate. So do be careful. One of the tripwires in there is understanding the aggregation you're using. And you've got to let the data warehouse run its procedures and aggregate that data before you can effectively report on it. That's why I'm choosing yesterday. Let's add a group. Windows computer sounds like a good one. And let's just do critical. Object type. something else that's missing in the Microsoft generic library. It's the ability to actually pick an object. And because I've picked Windows computers, all the possible hosted or contained objects are in this drop-down now, like dynamically generated. I think I will pick database and run. There you go. Summary of the state, a roll-up of all the state, not just availability, but configuration, performance, security as well, for all the databases found in that group. So again, we're able to leverage containment. You don't have to run this against a group of databases. Target the actual database object. You target Windows Computer, and this report will find all the databases that are being hosted on SQL on Windows Computer. I believe I have one that's got some downtime. There we go. And you can drill down here.
Click it.
I'm clicking it.
You're not.
So impatient. Drilling down into the actual monitors. I'm now drilling into performance as the parent monitor. Database space. The red one now is file group space. I can drill into that. And into that. Into the dependency relationship. And finally find the actual database. The state over the reporting period that we've rolled up is for the MOM database. And we're giving you, as you can see, the percentage of downtime. The percentage of the time that monitor was in critical state. It might be downtime, in this case it's a performance issue. Whatever the monitor is, whatever your scope to report at, you can drill down and find the details underneath that. How are we doing for time? Yeah. With that, and did I mention this is all free? Can't believe it myself. So, as I showed, the alert report, the state report, multiple intervals, leveraging containment. Performance reports, we have two. Oleg's going to show more on performance reporting anyway, but they're also very flexible on how you aggregate. On the options, the configuration options and the possibilities that you have are greatly extended from what's in the Microsoft out-of-box offering. That's what I just did. And back to you.
Yeah. Okay. When it comes down to performance reports, well, we have 30 plus something performance and top-bottom performance reports. And it's a really big number. And when we're discussing how the reporting interface should look like, how we can provide better reporting experience, we're looking at the generic report library and its usual interface. And I really hate that. Because what I need to do to get the stuff out of that, well, I have, let's say, 5 computers. New chart, new server, set objects, select roles, new chart, new server, set objects, select roles, and so on and so forth. It'll take tons of clicks, millions of clicks to get the data. And more than that, if you occasionally use add object on a group, what will you get? Who knows the answer? What will you get? No, I'll get nothing. The point is that most of system center administrators, most of ops manager guys just open up console and want to see the data, well, out of box, just in a few clicks. And they don't know what is really inside of the management pack. Well, for VMware, we have lots of objects. For 5.7, we had so-called child objects. So we had a virtual machine and CPU as separate object. How could that guy sitting and managing VMware environment could know those implementation details? All he wants to do is just to select the performance counter, and by selecting that, he defines what object he needs, because that performance counter is targeted to an object of a specific type. That is already done. And the next, what the customer should do, what the user should do, just define a scope. And just because he already decided what types of objects do he need, well, it really doesn't matter what button is used. Well, you know, it was almost 20 years ago when I have created my first user interface. It contained, well, lots of buttons. And my father took a look at that and told me, hey, Alec, do you know that every user interface should comply with a big green hammer rule? What's that? What's that? Big green hammer rule. Big green hammer rule says every user interface should contain just one button, and that button should be OK. Well, for sure, this interface doesn't comply because it contains 3 buttons and lots of other controls, but it's much more easy to use, and I love using that. And actually, if you take a look at VM management pack for VMware and take a look at performance reports, all of them actually are linked reports. That means they're powered by generic performance report, but they deliver another user reporting experience. How did we make that possible? Well, the answer is not so simple, but still. We have some hidden parameters that are used in link mode that are not exposed in a native mode. And the good news with Vim Extended Generic Report Library v6 is that we can build a set of link performance reports for any set of metrics defined in any management packs. At one point of time, I've realized that I'm reviewing our VMware performance report once a week, or twice a week, and this guy comes up to me with the new requirements. Put these counters there, remove these counters from here, and I have created a set of tools that can be used against any management packs to create a set of performance reports. Let me show you how. Okay, that's Alex's demo. Okay, let's collapse that. Collapse this and this. Okay, what we need to do that is two small tools. One to parse our source management packs, and one to generate a new management pack. Also, we'll need the management pack themselves. I have here some SQL Server management packs and Windows Server management packs. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to find all performance collection rules that contribute to the data warehouse. I have this file, which points to my management pack, and I'll be using that as a parameter for my tool. Okay, close this. Okay, so let's run our simple command line tool and pass our MPs. Now, this one. And requires just one parameter as MP list. Okay, it works, it works, it works, it works, it works. It's done. What we have as an output is an Excel workbook and contains different worksheets. First one is identity. Okay, I need an ID for my new measurement pack. It will be my custom reports. Okay, display name, custom, display name, my custom reports. Okay, version 1.0.0.1. 12? Okay, 12. Doesn't matter. Hey, description? No, I don't want to provide description. I'll leave it at this. Okay, references. Where does all my data comes from? What do we see here? Okay, do not edit. Okay, I will not. Rules. Here are the huge list of rules that we have discovered. 326. Oh, huge number. We can add some knowledge here. We can put measurement unit, change aggregation function, because sometimes you want to see data aggregated not by average, but by some by minimum, maximum, whatever. And that's it. Nothing to edit here. Okay. Reports. We have two predefined reports that are provided to you by the tool. One is for performance, and one is for top bottom. Can we edit something here? Well, we can, but we will not be doing that for this demo. And finally, links. This table's links the rule to the report. Okay, I'm done. Save this. Close this. And this. And now I'm going to generate a new management pack with linked reports. Okay. This one. And I'm going to provide my Excel file here. And I'm going to point the directory where I have all my management packs, because I will need them to build a new MP. Okay, working, done. Okay. I have my management pack. Let's open that. Okay, it is really management pack, unsealed management pack. All I need to do now is to import that management pack into my environment. Well, I believe I already have that. Here it is. Okay, performance history, all counters. Let's take a look. 300s of counters. I don't need that much. Okay, I'll go for database log files for different versions. And database file allocated space left in megabytes. Great. Can I select something operating system related? Let's try to find, local disk, 3 megabytes. Great. Okay, I'll click add object. By mistake. And add a group here. As you know, there are no counters targeted to that group. They're targeted to the object content in that group. And I'll click OK here. It says include just this object. But the truth is that in link reports, we enforce containment regardless to the button you have used. Okay, one picture worth 1,000 words. Previous month, first day, run. What do we have? Look, a database log file. This page down button, and a lot of information here. I have database files and a lot of information here. I have logical disks. And all that in just few clicks. What we can do next, we can drill down to the particular instance. And Auto will see, hey, what's that? what is that on the screen? What are the purple lines doing here?
What is that purple line, Oleg?
I don't know.
What is it?
What is it?
What does it mean?
Who knows? What's that? That's a trend. So if we could propagate it to the future, we'll get, well, prediction based on our data. So that is actually what we intended to do at the very beginning of the session. That was our requirement. So I've done that. Okay. So is it really so important? Darling, how do you think? Do we really need that?
Yes, I think we do.
Why?
Capacity planning, for example. This is one of the features in our VMware MP version 6. It's capacity planning and leveraging the methods here, but again, this trending is available in the extended generic report library, which you all can have for free. Capacity planning, critical for just about any factor in your infrastructure, probably, for storage space, for resource usage of any type. It's definitely critical in a VMware environment, and we have reports built, again, on top of this methodology to track the compute resources in your cluster, to predict when you're going to run out of CPU, going to run out of memory, by trending the data for all the contained VMs and the aggregated roll-up to the cluster into the future. Oleg built some more extensions to that, some confidence intervals, best case, worst case. We built more sophisticated stuff on top of that. We have virtual machine capacity prediction as well. You can take a set of existing VMs and realize if they are going to fit in your cluster. You take an existing Exchange server, VM maybe, and say, okay, I know I need to deploy another 2 Exchange servers next month. Will they fit on this cluster? And we factor in the trending to that as well. We can tell you, yeah, those machines will fit right now in your cluster, but based on the growth, you're going to run out of resources in 30 days, in 60 days, whatever. So the trending is really critical functionality. There is another session on capacity planning. Oleg,
yeah, I think so, with Cameron.
With Cameron Fuller, Gordon McKenna, on Wednesday. Oleg is doing a slot there as well. They're doing a larger overview of capacity planning. I'll be talking about the VMware Management Pack tomorrow, like I said, tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, that's why we built this functionality. It's a key feature of RMP. It's available in the EGRL, and it will give you next week's lottery numbers as well. It will.
And you're lucky, guys. You can predict the future, you can get trending for free with EGRL. How? How can we propagate it to the future? Well, the answer, well, it is simple. Let me show you. I'm getting back to my performance report. Just some parameters here. I have 3 megabytes. Okay, do I need to predict 3 megabytes? Okay, yes, I need. What else do I have? Let's take a look. What metrics did I use? Log file free space. Do I need to predict log file free space? Well, probably yes. And database file allocated space left in megabytes. Well, I'm okay with that. Okay. The only thing we need is, well, to grab the SQL call which is behind this report. All trend calculations are done by that SQL sort procedure. So I'm using SQL Server Profiler for that. I'm starting a new trace, and I'm using my template. So I'll grab just calls to my stored procedures. I'm saying my because I have written that. Okay, where's my report? Performance history, okay. Just click refresh. Do I have it here? Oh yes, VMGRL performance get. Let's copy paste that to SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, inquiry, copy paste. Let's beautify it a bit. Okay, so in order to see here, we can see here parameter enable trend calc. Obviously, we should put 1 here. The next thing we should do is to instruct the stored procedure to output its data in XML mode. So I will declare an XML variable of type XML. How can I instruct that stored procedure? Okay, I have a couple of parameters here. XML output only should be 1, and output XML. Well, this is where our data should go out. And right now, I'm going just to select my variable, F5. Here it is. We have a bunch of XML. What we can see here is the performance points as actually values that you see on chart in the report. But what is much more interesting here, that at the very end of this piece of XML have trend coefficients. What's that? Well, we have managed entity row ID, which we have discussed earlier, the first part of the session. We have rule row ID, which is a point to the rule that have collected data. I have a lot of information here. And what we have here, we have last date time as the last point that was included into the report. And we have corresponding last value number. Please note them. Beyond this point, we have coefficients. A is for shift by y-axis, and B is for slope. And we have that for average. We have standard deviation for trend. We have those coefficients for summed average, for minimum, maximum, and summation as well. And all you need to do now to predict the future, you have to solve a simple linear equation. That's it. You know B, you know A. What is X? Well, if you have performance forecast horizon, let's say, 30 days, you have to take your last value number, calculate how many, the difference between last date time and your performance forecast horizon. Let's say our performance forecast horizon is 30 days, so that will be 7th of May or 8th of May. So I have to add 31 here. So my X will be 50. I know A, I know X, I know B. I can calculate Y. And that is a predicted value. So you can use that in your monitoring. You can use it in capacity planning, literally everywhere where you need to predict the future. Have I told you that you're lucky guys because you get it for free? And I believe that it was the final demo for today. Here are some action and must-see sessions. Alec, please take it over.
So yeah, to make clear, that free reporting libraries on veeam.com, the GRL tools, the command line tools to analyze any MP and build your own linked reports from the performance data in that MP, that will be up on Oleg's blog. I do encourage you to go there, because it is truly the musings of a reporting guru. Go to his sandbox and you can download the command line tools that can accompany the MP you'll get from veeam.com.
A quick note here, we haven't released eGRL v6 yet because we want to do some QA on it, and I believe that...
You mean there's bugs?
Huh?
There's bugs. Bugs?
Bugs? No, we just need to be sure that there are no bugs. We just want some time for QA, just because we provide support even for eGRL.
Yeah, this is a fully supported product from Veeam, the Extended Generic Reporting Library. Come along and get your copy. And as Og said, we'll ship the V6 version, I think, in a couple of weeks. Tomorrow's session, managing VMware in System Center, that will touch on VMM, Orchestrator, Service Manager 2, I think, and I will have a slot where I'm showing that VMware Management Pack. If you want to see more of that, or do absolutely stop by our booth, where any one of our system engineers will give you a demo too. And on Wednesday, that's when Oleg will join Cameron Fuller, Gordon McKenna, a couple of very cool MVPs who will be talking about capacity planning specifically. He'll show some more of the EGRL capabilities, especially the trending predicting that you can do. Any Q's and A's?
Yes, please.
I don't know, do we need to step up to the microphone?
Please come up to the microphone because it's been recorded. So
yeah, thank you.
Those guys who can attend will be able to listen for your questions.
Hello. Just to clarify, this pack is only going to work with the way you structured your version 6 of the Veeam pack, right? Previous versions, I think version 6 was a slight departure from previous versions, and the reporting within the containers and whatnot might be a little bit different. Does this version of the reporting pack work with previous versions of the Veeam pack?
This extended generic reporting library works with absolutely any data.
Okay.
So we do ship it with our VMware management pack because we're leveraging it in the VMware MP. It's one of the MP set that we ship.
Okay, so this isn't exclusive just to our VMware infrastructure?
Absolutely not. When I ran the demo, I reported on SQL databases. You can report on disk. You can report on absolutely anything that's in your environment. You don't need our VMware MP. It's absolutely a free tool. Okay. There's a version up there right now, but we'll be updating it to be our V6 version, but there's no dependency at all on our actual VMware management pack. It will work for whatever you need.
Okay, thank you.
Next questions?
The type IDs which you are using, is my warehouse going to have the same type IDs?
Sorry?
The type IDs which you are using, the queries, on the queries before?
Well, I believe that these ones will be published in my blog as well as they'll be published as extra materials for this session on ComNet. But I'm not sure if I'll provide those IDs I've used because they could be different in your environment.
So I guess something is missing up there, right? Like on the queries? Like
well, some queries and some commands. Most probably I'll have a blog post on that.
Okay. Second question is on the trending. Like SSRS provides trending facility on the reporting, right? Like on 2008. So why are we calling a SP basically to do the trending calculation? Like, was there any reason?
Well, SRS provides this, probably provides, I don't know actually. The reason for that is if you want to do some more calculations, if you want to be more precise on that, you'll most probably want to calculate deviations and confidence intervals as well, just because you'll need to know where's the best case of your prediction and where's the worst case. And I'm not sure that's really possible with with SRS, and more than that, you can use the data in a way you want. You may use it on SharePoint. You may want to make right from the SQL Server. You may use it in any application. I don't really think that you want to stick with just SRS.
Okay, thanks.
Next.
Hi, for the statistical trending analysis, can you set a minimum threshold for a number of data points, or does that get factored into the confidence interval when you're analyzing the slope of a trend? I mean, if you're running the report, you have 50 databases you've had for months.
Sorry, can you speak a bit slower? I'm not a native speaker. I'll ask Alec to translate that.
Speak a bit slower for me too.
Sorry, I know I have that issue. For example, we have 50 databases we've had for months, and then we've added one just 2 weeks ago, and we want to do a trending analysis. Can we set a sort of a minimum floor of how many data points have to exist before it gets factored in to do trending analysis on it, so that we know we have a sufficient number of data points?
A minimum threshold for the sample count.
Or does that just get washed out in the confidence interval?
Well, you know, that depends. The more data you have, the more accurate it will be. But, well, to calculate the trade, you definitely need at least 2 points. So, and you have to be sure.
But I wouldn't consider that.
That is a minimum. 2 points is definitely a minimum.
Well, that's a minimum. But you know, when you query a data warehouse, you operate with pre-aggregated daily or hourly data, and you do not have raw data there. Forget about it. You don't have it. They don't exist anymore. So you used to build a trend across pre-aggregated data, and you have to keep that in mind. Because if you have highly volatile values, highly volatile performance metrics, well, that will affect the accuracy.
Okay. I have a second question on the state summary reporting that you showed us, where you're looking at like uptime percentage over so many days. Is that reflecting the underlying threshold that's already been applied when the data was collected? Or
It's tracking the monitor that's driving that state. Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Is it possible to sort of set an artificial what-if scenario and say, what if we applied a different threshold? What would our uptime have looked like then, or our state summary have looked like over time, as a baselining tool?
That's an interesting idea, but the monitor state is stored in the warehouse.
As the threshold was at the
As
time it was
a
done.
time in a certain state. So you have to do a lot of mining to link that to the rule, pull out the threshold, and then basically run your own analysis on the underlying data.
Actually, that's a great point to cover, because there is one thing to consider about state reports. Green states and white states are not stored in the data warehouse. They are being calculated on the fly. So if you have if your object existed, and if you had management pack installed, and if you have that monitor up and running, and if you have data being collected, if you have them being aggregated, then you'll get green state. Otherwise, you'll get white state. This is why we advised to use yesterday when you operate across daily aggregated data. Otherwise, you'll get just wrong white state for today, just because the data hasn't been aggregated yet. That's a great point. And if you state-centric guys, you have to keep that in mind when you run reports, both Veeam and Microsoft.
Thank you.
That's the what-if modeling, I like that. I will take that as a feature request. I'm not promising anything, but... any more questions? Great, thank you, guys. All right. Thank you. Please do fill out the evaluation, obviously only if it's good. But it's how us and the other speakers get to crow over each other in the speaker room, so please vote.